tohiri ngā maunga ae mai. Ko te ao te aro konei, te hoa tau pai o te rā. Ma te pango te mami te pai, ka iwi ko rahi te ao. No mai rā, ki te papa, papa tipu. No mai rā, te mera tokainga. No mai rā, te karanga te ngākau. Te karanga te ngākau.
Now Maira, welcome home. Dave Dobbin. You're listening to RNZ National. It's 7 minutes to 6.
Ka hoki ngā mahara ki te tini me te mano, i ta tū atu ki te kauhanga o te riri, kua riro nei o koutou wairua ki runga ki te rangi, o koutou tinana kia nuku, no reira koutou rā te hunga i hinga, mihi atu, tangi atu, mahara nui atu. Ko tātou ko te hunga ura, i tīpare tia nei te pare kawakawa o mahara kia tātou i tēnei rā. Ko tērā te reo a te pēne i tērā tau i whakatūwhirahia te karakia o te atatū. That's the dawn parade which traditionally precedes the ANZAC Day dawn service each year at Pukeahu National War Memorial Park in Wellington. This year, for the first time in history, ANZAC Day services across New Zealand are unable to go ahead. But the tradition of remembering and commemorating our veterans and service personnel continues. Kei ngā mātau waka huri noa o te motu, tēnā koutou katoa. Nau mai whakarongo mai ki tēnei pāpahotanga i tēnei atatū, o te rā whakamahara ki ngā hoia o Ahitreiria me Aotearoa. Ko Shannon Haunui-Thompson, ahau. Kia ora and welcome to you all for this special Stand at Dawn service hosted by the Royal New Zealand Returned and Services Association and the New Zealand Defence Force. As our dawn service approaches at 6 a.m, what we're asking you to do, and please only if you can do it within the lockdown rules, is to stand at your letterbox or front gate, maybe in your backyard or your driveway, on your balcony maybe if you're in an apartment, or just in your lounge room, safely inside is fine. Wherever you are in the world, we invite you to stand with us and take a moment to remember our fallen, but please make sure you stay within your bubble. Our service will start shortly with the Piper Lament, followed by the last post, the Ode of Remembrance, and then we observe the 1 minute silence. The service continues after that with the New Zealand and Australia national anthems, and then finishes with a special ANZAC address from the Honourable Ron Mark, Minister for Veterans and Minister for Defence. Each year on this date, we observe ANZAC Day, a commemoration first held to mark the anniversary of the Gallipoli landings, but which has since come to have a broader significance. Those first ANZAC Day services naturally looked back to the Gallipoli campaign, New Zealand's first major engagement of the First World War, where most of New Zealand's war dead up to that date had fallen. By 1918, though, the nation's attention was firmly focused on the Western Front in Europe, a campaign of much greater significance, and one that would ultimately claim almost 5 times as many New Zealand lives as Gallipoli. The New Zealand division had arrived in France in 1916 and taken part in the Somme campaign later that year. It spent most of 1917 in Belgium, fighting in major and costly actions at Messines and Passchendaele before returning to the battlefields of France in 1918. It would be April 1919 before ANZAC Day was first commemorated in peacetime. Over the following decades, ANZAC Day would come to embrace New Zealanders' service and losses during the Second World War and in Korea, Vietnam and many other conflicts. Yet more than a century on, remains closely linked to its Gallipoli origins. ANZAC Day also represents an opportunity to recognise the diversity of New Zealanders' experiences of war, as well as those who did not return. We should remember the many more who did and acknowledge their struggles and achievements in post-war society. I ngā rau rangatira mā huri noa o te motu. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, our special dawn service will now begin with the Piper Lament, the last post, followed by the Ode of Remembrance and a minute's silence. ka maumahara tonu tātou, kia rātou. The Ode of Remembrance will now be recited by first Miki Apati, RSA Kaumātua, and then BJ Clark, National President, RNZ RSA. Shortly, a minute's silence.
E kore rātou e kaumātua tia. Peni ia tātou kua mahu I honei. E kore hoki rātou e ngoi kore. Aha kua pēhea I ngā huatanga o te wā. I te heke ngā atu o te rā. Tai noa ki te ara ngāke I te ata. Ka maumahara tonu tātou, kia rātou. Ka maumahara tonu tātou, kia rātou.
They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them. We will remember them.
And now, a minute's silence. He tā kunetanga whakahirahira tēnei rā whakamahara ki ngā hoia o Ahitreiria me Aotearoa. ANZAC Day is such an important national occasion for both Australians and New Zealanders. The national anthems of New Zealand and Australia will now be sung by the Tawa College Blue Notes, accompanied by the Royal New Zealand Air Force Band.
Hooray! Hooray! Shout!
Thank you.
te tāhua hoki, ko tērā te reo o ngā tauira o te kura tuarua o Tāua, me te pēne o te tauārangi roera o Aotearoa. The national anthems of New Zealand and Australia, sung by the Tāua College Blue Notes, accompanied by the Royal New Zealand Air Force Band. Now, the ANZAC address at the special dawn service by the Honourable Ron Mark.
E aku i kia awhiro e hui tahi nei, e te hunga hoaia o ngā pākanga o mua. O ngā pākanga e haere aki nei, ngā poaru, ngā whānau mihi mahana, kia koutou katoa i tēnei rā maumahara. To the veterans, the soldiers of past and present battles, the widows and the families, and all those who have gathered, my warm greetings to you all on this day of remembrance. For more than 100 years, New Zealanders have gathered together each ANZAC Day to remember and honour those who have served our nation in war, those who didn't come home, and those who did come home, wounded, maimed, tormented, forever changed by their service. And it's also fitting and proper at this time that we remember their families. This year, we also mark the 75th anniversary of the end of the Second World War. And while there can be none of the customary dawn services, no breakfast, tots of rum, or pints after the parade with old mates, almost none of the events we would normally associate with a special day, we can still take the time to pause, reflect, pay our respects and give thanks to those who gave so much, not just 105 years ago at Gallipoli or during the 6 long years of the Second World War, but for every conflict and every operation that we have been involved in since then. We owe them that. And it is a privilege to do so. A privilege bequeathed to us by the tens of thousands of our forebears who paid the ultimate price that we might enjoy the freedom and the liberties we do today. New Zealanders have served and fought and died alongside of our allies and friends and other Commonwealth nations over many, many years. But on ANZAC Day, we especially commemorate our long-standing relationship with our closest neighbours and friends across the Tasman. We started with the Australian and New Zealand Army Corps, a legendary corps that gave this day its name. The ANZAC relationship is one of unity and mateship, binding us as closely today as ever. And whilst it was forged on the beaches of the Gallipoli Peninsula, in the years since, we have served side by side all over the world. We did then, we do today, and we will again if called upon. We should be, and we are, proud of that relationship and of the strength we give to and receive from each other in the tough times our countries sometimes face away from military conflict and peacekeeping. May that never falter. May that never change. Today, our small band of Second World War veterans is amongst those most threatened by COVID-19. At this difficult time, we must do all we can to support our elderly veterans and those who are most at risk. The comprehensive measures taken by New Zealand to combat the threat posed by COVID-19 have turned our lives upside down, that we know. However, we only need to look back to the terrible influenza pandemic of 1918 to see what could have happened if we had not acted so decisively. The 1918 pandemic coincided with the armistice that ended the First World War. Near my home, in Carterton, the Featherston military training camp was especially hard hit. The first cases were recorded in the camp late in October 1918, and by Armistice Day, nearly 2,500 men had gone down sick. Within a few short weeks, the pandemic had claimed 172 lives in the camp. In all, the 1918 influenza pandemic killed about 9,000 New Zealanders, losses which came on top of the grievous casualties inflicted during the First World War. Today, as the world faces this ongoing challenge, we should look back and take strength from the courage and endurance shown by our forebears at Gallipoli in 1915, in the bloody carnage of Passchendaele, the Somme, Crete, El Alamein, and so many, many more battlefields and conflict zones since then. As a Minister of Defence and for veterans, I am very proud of our Defence Force, and especially thank all those serving for their work during the current crisis. As always, they stand ready to do more, much more, to do what our armed forces personnel have always done, to step up for us in the face of a threat to our national well-being and safety. And to do this whilst at the same time lending aid and support to our Pacific Island neighbours and friends in their time of need. So this ANZAC Day, look after one another. Remember, commemorate, give thanks, but in your bubble. Ka maumahara tono tātou kia rātou, lest we forget.
E te minita nei rā te mihi ki a koe. That was the ANZAC address by the Honourable Ron Mark. And that brings to an end the special dawn service for 2020. Thank you so much for being part of this. Ka maumahara tonu tātou, kia rātou. We will remember them. Kia tau te rangi mārie, kia tātou katoa, noho oro mai.